if the It Cosmetics CC cream isn't quite working for you, please watch this video. I'm Rose. I've been the UK and Ireland brand ambassador for It Cosmetics for over 5 years now. And so I'm sure you can imagine that in that time, I've spoken to loads of people about how they're getting on with their products. Here are some of the most asked questions I've had over the years that maybe something isn't quite working and how you can really easily resolve it. And I'm going to talk about all of the CC creams today because this one, for example, is my favourite. But depending on what you're looking for, one of the others might be a better fit for you. So let's start with the original CC cream. This is a 7-in-1 formula and it's designed to give you the benefits of your moisturiser, serum, primer, SPF, full coverage foundation, concealer, colour corrector all in one. And I'm using the Complexion Perfection brush to apply this. I have rosacea and I post a lot of videos covering redness. And I suppose one of the first things that I will sometimes get feedback about is I haven't had the same level of coverage as you. Now I'm just going to do half of my face. There was a little thing there, but it's gone. And I'm doing this on the back camera of my iPhone, so hopefully you'll see the textures up close and nice and clear. But the first thing I will say, if you're not getting the level of coverage that you want, I want you to think about how much of this that you're using. Now, day to day, on a not so red skin day, I could use anywhere from half a pump to a pump of this, and that is more than enough coverage for my entire face. But if I'm having a really red day, I could go anywhere up to 2 pumps. Now, whenever I mention that, someone will write in the comments, you're just saying that to get me to use my CC cream more quickly. It's not that at all, but I just want to be really honest with you about what you're going to need to put in to get a really flawless finish. And depending on how high colour your complexion looks that day, you may have to alter the amount that you're using. And I'd rather just give that to you in an actual measure than have you use it at home wondering why the result isn't the same. Another thing I really wish I could show you in person, but you'll just have to take my word for it, is that I use a really soft touch with the brush. In particular, if you're building coverage, you want to really gently swipe this rather than kind of pressing or rubbing firmly. And it's one of those really simple things, but honestly, in those 5+ years, using a softer pressure with the brush is one of the main things I will get a feedback about from someone saying, do you know what, that sounded so obvious, I didn't even really pay too much attention, and when I did it, it made such a big impact. That was the original CC cream in the shade light medium, and the original CC cream has a really fresh finish. It's quite dewy. I mean, it does dry down a little bit, but ultimately it stays quite radiant. Something else I sometimes get feedback about is people saying it transfers or it slips or moves. Now, to be honest with you, the original formula, I mean, all of the formulas are very heavily skincare based. That's one of the things that people love about It Cosmetics. The base of all of the makeup is skincare. So it feels really comfortable and it feels really hydrating. However, this is going to remain dewy all day. So if you don't want that kind of finish, I'd recommend setting it with powder or using the other CC cream, of which there are several, but the one I'm referring to is the CC oil free. Let me show you that on this side. I've got this one in the shade medium actually. To be honest with you, because the finishes are slightly different, I always feel like I get away with the medium, but that is mainly just because that's what I've got to hand at the moment. Now, the oil-free CC cream has all of the same properties as the original. It's a skincare makeup SPF hybrid. However, a couple of things are different. Some of the skincare, the crux of this, is specific to the oil-free CC. So the oil-free was actually born because so many people loved the original and they fed back to Jamie, the founder, that they were setting it with powder or they had more of a blemish-prone or oily-prone skin. And so the skincare was tweaked to work with that kind of skin. So you have ingredients like colloidal, clay, and charcoal in here, so it has more of a velvety finish. Now, if you've watched my videos for a while, you'll know that I am not particularly a matte person. I will make exceptions, but more often than not, I'd always be more of a dewy person. However, this is quite, as you can see, it's quite like a radiant matte. I don't feel like it's super flat. It doesn't have the same sheen as the original side. It's more of like a moussey consistency. And again, it feels really hydrating, but it has less of that glow. Now that side, oh, also another thing I should say, original formula has an SPF 50 built into it, and the oil-free is an SPF of 40. One of the reasons for that difference is the texture of the CC. Because the skincare is different here to give it that velvety finish, the highest they could go with the SPF and still have it feel really comfortable and nice was the 40. Now, if you're someone that wants to leave the house in the morning, not think about your makeup, not do another thing, you would be more of an oil-free person. I personally love the glow of the original and I like the juiciness of it, so I will make a commitment to powder through the day. I'll set the T-zone with a little bit of powder, which I will do for you now to show you. And then through the day, whenever I nip to the bathroom or something, I will touch up with a little bit of extra powder. It's one of those things, it's like any makeup, even if it says it's X amount of hours wear, as the day goes on, as you get hot, as you're running around a little bit, it will start to change on your face. Your skin is hot to the touch, that's bound to happen. So it's just a question of, do you want the lowest maintenance upkeep, but maybe a little bit less of the glow? Or do you want to keep the glow and as a compromise, you'll make the choice to powder it a couple of times? Now, just to show you again, that's the oil-free. That's the original, and I don't actually powder the entire face. What I will do, I'm using a Bye Bye Pores translucent setting powder, by the way. I'll use a small brush and I will just go kind of towards the centre of the face. Now, just to say, with any powder on a camera, especially I'm using my iPhone, but it's not exactly like super HD, that will always like exaggerate the power of the powder. So the camera will make it look super, super airbrushed and flawless. Don't get me wrong, it will absolutely give you more of a velvety finish, but please just be mindful that that will be really exaggerated through the lens of the iPhone. And yes, it will take shine down, but in order to see this, what it is realistically going to do for your skin, I'd really recommend just popping to a counter and trying any of these things so that you can see what it's going to sit like for you. But I'll come back to that at the end as well. And then just to say, going back to kind of the transferring element, if you wanted to, you could powder the entire face with the original formula, and locking it in with that powder will help to make it transfer proof. So far, we've hopefully given you a bit more coverage, helped it to last a bit longer, helped you to decide whether you want your original formula or you'd prefer an oil-free formula. Another question I've had in the past is that the CC cream can look a bit dry as the day goes on. Now, I promise you, at the helm of all of the It Cosmetics products is a skincare base. Everything's been developed with plastic surgeons and dermatologists. And so the CC creams, for example, that I've just shown you, have a skincare base of things like niacin, collagen, antioxidants. So they're really buttery and hydrating. But what I will say is that any makeup item is going to cling to drier areas of skin and accentuate them if you have those patches, which we all do. So what I would recommend is the night before, if you can exfoliate, that is one of the best ways to reduce the appearance of texture, reduce any dryness in the skin, and give you that smoother finish from your makeup. Or if you're like me and you have redness, and that might be one of the reasons that you found It Cosmetics, for a lot of people it is, you could use something like azelaic acid. That's a brilliant way to reduce the appearance of texture in the skin. It's a gentler alternative to exfoliating, but that will mean that you get a lovely smooth finish from your makeup as well. Just to mention, one of my favourite azelaic acids is the one from the Inkey list. That is a 10% strength and readily available on the high street, and I think it's fantastic. Now then, I'm just going to remove these two and come on to possibly the most controversial topic. Let's talk about CC Nude Glow versus CC Illumination. I'm just using a micellar water and a reusable cotton round. I'm not going to bother taking my eyes off because I just want to show you the two finishes of the next two CCs. Now let's talk about the latest CC cream, CC Nude Glow. I'm going to use a pump of this in the shade Light on this side of my face, and I'll just chat away to you while I'm putting it on. So with the CC cream, it is so loved, and so many people fed back that they loved that it was really quick and easy. They loved the makeup skincare SPF. However, because it's a really full coverage and it's a lot fuller coverage than people expect from a CC cream, lots of people also fed back that they didn't need that level of coverage, but they just wanted something quick and lovely. So this is how CC Nude Glow was born. So this one is a 90% skincare formula, and I think that really shows, and you can really see here. It's so lovely and glowy, but it's not like a pearly glow. It's more of a fresh, you've just been for a walk kind of glow. But the coverage in this one is light to medium. The skincare is slightly different. You've got things like green tea in here. You've got niacinamide, which is brilliant for the skin barrier. You've got hyaluronic acid in here. So ultimately, this is a really fresh, lightweight, barely there, your skin but better kind of finish. Today, my skin isn't as red as it can be, so I would definitely get away with this on its own. But on a really red day for me, I would always team it with a bit of Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer. This is going to be for you if you like the quickness, but you don't need coverage as your first priority. And now, I actually didn't know whether to do this because I know it's just going to be like a sore subject. But just cards on the table. CC Illumination is now no longer in the UK, and I want to show you this versus your Illumination because I've had so much feedback that you miss this and you want it to stay. I miss this and I wanted it to stay, and I can just reassure you that whenever you feed back anything to me about It Cosmetics, I always feed it back on your behalf. So if you've said that to me about the Illumination, I promise you I have mentioned it. But I just want to show you the difference between CC Nude Glow and CC Illumination because the coverage is very different and the glow is very different. So CC Illumination, which I'm going to put on this side now, this will be the shade light medium as well. This again is a really full coverage, but it has a slightly pearly finish to it. Now the formula of this is identical to the original CC cream, except that it has one added ingredient, which is called Drops of Light technology, which is that slightly pearliness. So essentially, if you usually wear this and you're looking for the next best thing, I would personally say you would be best to get the original CC cream and use something pearly underneath it. Now I'm just going to buff this on all over. This was half a pump that I've used, and then I'll just show you a little side by side so you can see the differences in the finish. I mean, both of them are really lovely and glowy, but as you can see, it's quite a different glow. This one is a lot more lightweight, windswept. This one is slightly more polished. But that will be largely because of the vast difference in the coverage that they both offer. So, devil's advocate here, and I'm just going to take like the side of my cheek off because this will otherwise be a video more dedicated to me removing my makeup than putting it on. But I would say the best way to recreate your Illumination CC would be to prep your skin with a glowy primer. I'm going to use the Laura Mercier Illuminating Primer today. Now again, if you watch my videos a lot, you'll know that it's not very often that I recommend primers. 9 times out of 10, I just think it's another step to buy that you don't need to buy. However, if your primer is serving a purpose, like if it's a mattifier or if it's going to add luminosity like this one is, then there are always exceptions to the rule. And in general, you can always make an exception for a Laura Mercier primer because they are genuinely brilliant, and I'd always have them in my bridal makeup kit, things like that. But just see how that now has given the skin a lovely luminosity. That's a lovely primer in general, by the way, if you're just looking for something to add a bit of radiance in the summer, but I digress. I've gone back to my original CC here, and then you could just layer this on top. That will really gently poke through. I hope I haven't gone out of focus here. I'm going to tap my phone. And then you've got all of your coverage, but you still have a bit of glow. And that will be the closest match to your original CC Illumination. Do you see how they now look really similar, both of those sides of the face? And then one thing that I thought I would mention, because it comes up so often, is that you can find It Cosmetics in store in so many different places. So in terms of actually trying it on, if you go to Space NK, Boots, Selfridges, all of these retailers have It Cosmetics in store, but they're not in every single store. So what I would say is, if you know you want to try things on in real life, and by the way, please consider this an invite to do that. Like, I don't want you to get something online if you're not sure of the shade, if you want some extra help, if you want to try something on and see how it wears. In particular, like, because I've got redness and I know how sensitive my skin can be, I hear you if you want to try something on and, you know, see how it works for you. So please always feel free to pop in. But if you go to the online customer service of any of those retailers, whether it's Boots, whether it's Selfridges, whether it's Space NK, and just ask them to tell you your nearest counter, that way you can know for sure that wherever you're going will definitely have it, rather than having to look in lots of different places. And in addition to being in store in those places, we're also on loads of online websites. So the likes of Cult Beauty, John Lewis, Look Fantastic, Sephora as well would have us in store. But you know, let's say for example, if you have points on one of those places and there's a particular retailer you like to go to so that you're building up your points or whatever it is, you've got loads of different options, and a quick Google will bring up all of them. And speaking actually of popping into store, something that's come up a few times recently is if you've had your CC cream knocking around in your makeup bag for a while and the shade name has worn off, just please feel free to pop into store and the team will be able to, like, whatever is left of your CC, they'll be able to say, oh, that was tan or it was rich or whatever it might be. I really hope that was helpful, and I know that that was specific to It Cosmetics today, but for any product that you've got, one thing I will say is that if it isn't quite working for you, more often than not, there's something you can do to give it a little tweak and make it so that it does. Sometimes there isn't, sometimes it's just not for you, and that's okay. But have a little think, if there's ever anything not working for you, about is there something that you could team it with? Is there something that you could add? Is there something that you could remove? I spoke to someone the other day that was using lots of different things under their CC cream and they weren't getting the finish from it that they wanted. And I suggested to her to remove lots of those steps, because the whole point of the CC cream is that it's meant to merge your makeup, skincare, SPF. So I told her to just apply her SPF first and put it straight over that and see if that felt more comfortable. But have a little play. Hopefully that will help if you haven't been getting the best from your CC cream. And always feel free to ask any questions at all. I love helping you with your makeup, but more importantly, I'd love to think that you have these things at home and you're loving them as much as me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll chat to you soon.